Hi guys, welcome to English Lessons with Inlingua Vancouver. My name is Troy, welcome back. So today I'd like to continue my previous lesson, I and but because so. Specifically, I'd like to focus on but. I call this but patterns. So today's lesson is 20 ways to say but in English. 20 ways to say but in English. Or you can say these are contrast patterns, patterns that allow you to make a contrast or to debate or argue, for example. Okay? In my experience, but is such a useful and important word in many, many languages. So if you develop your ability to say these kinds of patterns, you're going to develop your fluency and you're going to have nice, sophisticated language. So I really recommend looking at this and practicing this. Now, today's video is a little bit high level. The ideas are high level. And the language is pretty high level. So I recommend watching this video a couple of times, and you might want to pause it, and you might want to zoom it. Really practice this a lot. You need to be saying it, and then your English level will improve. But maybe watch it a couple times and think about it. And in addition, do some homework. Like, I'm going to recommend some homework at the end, okay? So the first thing I'd like to do is just introduce these but or contrast patterns, okay? Now some of these you're going to remember because I taught them before. Let's take a look. I'm going to go over here. However, comma. This is great. This is kind of the number one thing. Please remember to use the comma. For some reason, many students never write the comma. You need the comma for the rhythm. I like pizza. However, comma, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Having said that, blah, blah, blah. Having said that, do, do, do. Okay? And as I said before, you can say, however, having said that, if you want. You can put them together. It's a little bit easier for the listener. Interesting grammar too. Having said that, kind of present perfect ing. Number 3, blah, 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 blah. That being said, blah, 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 blah. Now, look at this. These patterns, this is the first thing we're going to say. Then we're going to say this. Then we're going to say the other thing. Okay? First statement, contrast, second statement. Okay? So I said, however, having said that, that being said, despite the fact that blah, 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 blah. Big fancy but. For example, Vancouver is expensive. Despite the fact that Vancouver is expensive, many people want to live here. So in this one, you need to repeat the first statement. Okay? Number 5, remember, just because blah, blah, blah doesn't mean blah, blah, blah. So good for debating or thinking, you know. By the way, a lot of people want to think in English, you know, and patterns like this or any kind of patterns actually pushes you to think. It pushes your creativity. So good patterns and good practicing equals thinking in English. Just because doesn't mean. Number 6, this one is really good. All my ex-students have heard this many, many times. Hi, ex-students. On the one hand, blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, blah, 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 blah. You can see that I've circled some words. I circled these words to show you the stress, the focus word. You know, sometimes you need to push some words. Watch. On the one hand, Vancouver, blah, blah, blah. But on the other hand, do, do, do. Okay? Also, commas. You have to have commas. Commas are so important. And for some reason, many students don't use them. Okay? Number 6. Number 7, very similar. In general, blah, blah, blah. However, blah, blah, blah. In general, however. This is moving between general and specific level, which is very common in language. That's a very interesting thing. General and specific. 8, this is a nice one. I really like it. It's very common. It's while, but it's not time while. It's different. It's like even though, or similar like although. Although Vancouver is expensive, many people like it. While Vancouver is expensive, many people like it. Try it, everybody. Although Vancouver is expensive, many people like it. While Vancouver is expensive, many people like it. So that's kind of an A, B situation. Vancouver is expensive, many people like it. Look at this. It can be like negative to positive or positive to negative. Okay? While. And keep your eyes open. If you read newspapers or watch documentaries, you're going to hear it. You're going to see it. So, in general, while. This one is a little bit of a psychology pattern. It's very useful. The issue isn't this. The issue is that. What's an issue? Well, a problem or question. You know, the issue, the problem. Okay? So it's good for changing people's minds. For example, okay, Vancouver is expensive, but the issue isn't the price, the issue is the quality of life. They call this actually a reframing pattern. Reframing. You can find this in NLP. Here's another one. It's not that blah blah blah, it's that blah blah blah. Try it. It's not that blah blah blah, it's that blah blah blah. So similar, okay? All of these are kind of similar, this area here. Okay, issue, it's not that. 11. It's not about blah blah blah, it's about blah blah blah. It's not this, it's that. So similar. Different ways to say this one. But look at number 12. It's not only about blah blah blah, but also about blah blah blah. Okay? So this one is adding something. Compare these two. It's not about, it's not only about. These are not exactly the same. Play with them, try them, see what happens. Because these patterns are going to push you to think in English, to be creative. If you're not creative, if you're not making examples, probably you're not learning very much, or you're not developing your fluency. You need to be thinking in English, right? Look at this. On one level, blah, blah, blah. But on another level, blah, blah, blah. Different levels. On one level, I like Vancouver, but on another level, do-do-do-do. Okay? Not but. Not but, not but. One interesting example is, for example, I'm going to go back to my country, not this week, but the next week. Try it. I'm going to go back to my country, not this week, but the next week. Okay? Great. And 15, whereas. Whereas. Let's see. New York is a very crowded city, whereas Vancouver is less crowded, right? As opposed to, similar. New York is a very crowded city, as opposed to Vancouver, which isn't. Which is, or which isn't. New York is a crowded city, as opposed to Vancouver, which is less crowded. Okay? Now, 17. Unfortunately, fortunately. If you think about it, unfortunately or fortunately, they're kind of a way to say but. It's just a different way to say but. Very useful. Unfortunately, Vancouver is expensive. Fortunately, the government is taking steps to increase affordable housing, for example. 18. Nevertheless, it means I don't care. Or it's not a problem. Vancouver is expensive. Nevertheless, many people live here. Many people want to move here. Let's see. Although hamburgers are not healthy, many people like them. Although hamburgers are not healthy, many people like them. Right? While hamburgers are unhealthy, many people like them. Okay? although. Actually, in fact are so similar, and it's a way to go, wait a minute, a correction, right? Watch. Your name is Joe, isn't it? Actually, no, my name is Troy. See? It's kind of a correction or change or a focus. Anyways, the first thing you need to do is look at these things and just start to use them. Writing is really useful. Push yourself. Or when you're practicing speaking English with your friends, throw them in the conversation. You need to be using them. It's all about using them, not studying them, you know. Also, of course, catch them. Keep your ears open. Watch a lot of TV, read stuff. You're going to start to hear it. And when you start to hear it, you're going to integrate it and use it. Okay. Lots of nice English here. Now, I have my first statements. Some statements. So we're going to use a statement. Statement 1, pattern 1, contrast 1. It's like a 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, the whole thing, 20. As I said, you might want to pause it, take your time, make it bigger, read them, and always pronounce them and read them. There's something special about repeating or reading things, okay? And of course, make your own. Make your own statements, make your own patterns, okay? So let's take a look at these statements I made. I made 20 statements. These are some areas of interest, some things that I've been thinking about, and let's check them out, okay? Number 1. Human activities contribute to global warming. Everybody's heard this. Human activities contribute to global warming. However, go. What can you say? Okay, try again. Human activities contribute to global warming. However, okay. Did you say something? Check my example. Human activities contribute to global warming. However, there may be other influences affecting the Earth. Okay, I say it, you say it. Human activities contribute to global warming. However, there may be other influences affecting the Earth. Right? Some people are saying that the human global warming issue is not the whole story, not the big picture. For example, what about the sun? There's changes on the sun, that affects the Earth. Okay. Number 2. Many people like Barack Obama's thinking. Many people like Barack Obama's thinking. Having said that, so what can you say? Let's try it. Many people like Barack Obama's thinking. Having said that, many people don't, due to the fact that some people are worried about the government spending too much money and potentially bankrupting a country, you know? Okay, try one more time. Many people like Barack Obama's thinking. Having said that, many people don't, due to the fact that people are concerned about spending a lot of money, for example, right? Okay. Number 3. English is a big, complete language. English is a big, complete language. Every language is a big language. It's a universe, a world, right? That being said, okay, try. English is a big, complete language. That being said, okay. That being said, it's possible to learn a lot of great things quickly. It's true, that's my experience. Of course, every language is a big world, but we can learn some tricks, some nice patterns like this stuff. These are great. This is going to increase your fluency and your thinking power. So, after the video, maybe practice these again. You should be reading these, okay? Next, 4. Despite the fact that. Okay, 4. Some people think they're too old to learn new things. Some people think they're too old to learn new things. 4. Despite the fact that some people think they're too old, it depends on the method. Yeah, the issue isn't necessarily age. Often the issue is technique or method. There are good ways and easy ways to learn things, or difficult, confusing ways to learn things, right? So where are we? Number 5. Psychology and English are different subjects. Just because psychology and English are different subjects doesn't mean, okay, try. Just because psychology and English are different subjects doesn't mean, any ideas? Doesn't mean there are no connections between them, right? Psychology and English, yeah, they're different subjects, but that doesn't mean there are no connections. There are a lot of interesting connections, actually. Linguistic connections, for example. Presuppositions. All right, where are we? 6. Learning English on YouTube is different than a class. Of course it's different. You're there, you're watching the video, working by yourself. You don't have a bunch of classmates. 6. On the one hand, learning English on YouTube is different than a class, but on the other hand, blah, blah, blah. Okay, say something, try it. On the one hand, learning English on YouTube is different than a class. But on the other hand, YouTube can be very effective in terms of learning, right? I think YouTube is very effective. In my case, I've learned all kinds of things. I've learned how to play songs, cooking, I've learned some psychology and philosophy, and I've learned a lot about global issues and current affairs, okay? All right, 7. You with me? I'm gonna go a little faster, okay. Many people have made a lot of money on the stock market. Many people have made a lot of money on the stock market. In general, many people have made a lot of money on the stock market. However, those same people can easily lose their money, right? There's a fine line between making money and losing your money. One day you have a lot of profit, next day all those gains are wiped out by a stock market crash, okay? Next, 8. The Earth hasn't experienced problems from the sky in a long time. Try. The Earth hasn't experienced problems from the sky in a long time. 8. While the Earth hasn't experienced problems from the sky in a long time, you never know when problems might return, right? While we haven't experienced problems, you never know when problems might return. Okay. Number 9. People don't like to hear scary or bad news. People don't like to hear scary or bad news. The issue isn't blah, blah, blah. The issue is blah, blah, blah. Okay, number 9. So the issue isn't scary or bad news. The issue is the truth. Right? Scary or not scary, the truth is important. The bottom line is that, scary or not, the truth enters our lives sooner or later, right? Knowledge is power. 10. Humans can't control some things that happen on Earth. Humans can't control some things that happen on Earth. Or number 10. It's not that blah, 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 it's that blah, blah, blah. 10. It's not that humans can't control things that happen on Earth, it's that humans can't control problems in space, like the sun, right? It's not that humans can't control problems on Earth, it's that they can't control problems in space, like the sun. How are we going to control the sun? All right, number 11. We're at number 11 here. Remember, I'm going a little quickly. If you're serious about this, you're going to pause the video, watch it again, take your time, make your own examples, think about it, build your fluency, build your thinking. All right, 11. Animals can't talk to humans. They can't. Many people wish they could. I wish I could talk to my cat. So we're at 11. It's not about, it's about. 11. It's not about animals talking to us. It's about understanding other ways they communicate. Yeah, animals can't talk to us, but they have sounds, they have body language. Animals can communicate very well, actually. Okay. We're at 12. Currently, artificial intelligence is very rudimentary, very simple, AI. Right now, it's kind of rudimentary. 12. It's not only about, it's also about. Okay? So 12. It's not only about artificial intelligence, it's also about body language and nonverbal communication. Some people are discovering that you don't need a super smart computer, you just need a computer that has body language and nonverbal communication, that kind of thing. A totally different kind of area, right? The power of nonverbal communication. 13. Governments don't share a lot of info with the people. Governments don't share a lot of info with the people. Some governments. 13. On one level, but on another level. 13. On one level, governments don't share information with the people, but on another level, it's possible to read between the lines. On another level, it's possible to read between the lines. You can watch governments, you can listen to the things they say, and sometimes you can read between the lines. You can get a sense of the big picture. Okay? 14. Still with me? Hang in there. The American dollar has been the global currency for a long time. The American dollar has been the global currency for a long time. 14. 14, not but. In the future, not the American dollar, but another currency may be the global currency, right? Some people are concerned about the American dollar and what will happen if the American dollar collapses, right? Okay. A lot of different issues and serious big issues here. It's good to think. It's good to challenge yourself. 15. The public at large has never seen UFOs or aliens. At large means in general, most. The public at large has never seen UFOs or aliens. 15. Whereas, it's possible that NASA and various governments have seen UFOs and aliens. In my case, I've never been a big fan of this topic, but I'm becoming more open-minded. Really, we have no idea the kinds of things that are happening. Maybe there are some agencies that have a little more information, right? 16. Okay. Serious. There have been many shootings recently in the United States. Like a lot. 16. As opposed to Canada, which has far fewer shootings comparatively. Canada has had shootings, but not even close to the United States. It's quite different. Why? Why is it different? Any ideas about that? 17. CERN. CERN is the Large Hadron Collider. It's a nuclear physics experimentation in Switzerland. It's this big round circle thing, you probably know, and they smash things together at crazy high rates of speed. And those scientists think it's great, it's interesting, you can just play around with the core of the universe and everything will be okay. But other scientists are like, wait a minute, you can't just do whatever you want and do crazy experiments and not expect problems. So, the CERN scientists are optimistic about positive results. 17. Fortunately, unfortunately. Unfortunately, other scientists are concerned about major problems associated with the CERN experiments. 18. Do you know volcanoes? Of course. Many volcanoes have been dormant or sleeping for a long time. There are many volcanoes that haven't been active, they've been dormant. 18. Nevertheless, it seems that many volcanoes have been waking up. This is true. If you watch the news, around the world, many volcanoes have been dormant for a long time, but there's a lot of volcanoes that seem to be waking up all around the world. South America, Central America, all over the place. Well, why is that? Is that because of global warming? Maybe not. 19. The sun is far from the earth. The sun is far from the earth. Although the sun is far from the earth, it can still have a big impact on the earth. You can study this. It's interesting. Here's the sun, and they have like solar flares or sunspots or holes in the corona. There seems to be a connection between things that happen on the sun and environmental problems on the earth. For example, earthquakes, energetic disruptions, If there's a big sunstorm, it can wipe out electrical systems. That already happened. It's called the Carrington event. Google it, the Carrington event. Okay? And last, thanks for listening. Here's the last one. Modern humans have never experienced cataclysms from space. What's a cataclysm? Cataclysm is like some kind of major disaster from space. Has that happened before? Research it. But if you research it, the fact is, many ancient cultures have reports of cataclysms and devastations coming from space. Research. So modern humans have never experienced cataclysms from space. Actually, there have been some dangerous meteorites recently. In Russia, in Chelyabinsk, I don't know about my pronunciation, but there was a meteorite that exploded over Chelyabinsk in Russia, and it hurt a lot of people. There have been meteorites all over the place. Thailand, Argentina. Is it the same number of meteorites, or is it increasing? So, actually, there have been some dangerous meteorites recently. In fact, ancient cultures warned that problems will return one day and humanity will be unprepared. There are some ancient books or texts, and they say that the problems that our ancestors experienced could easily come back. They will come back, and humanity will be unprepared because that's what humans do. They forget about things and they're unprepared. Okay? So how are you doing? Are you okay now? I know that's a lot of stuff, but number one, I wanted to give you a good collection of butt patterns. A lot of these are really good. Choose your favorites, start using them. You should be mixing them in your writing and your speaking and catching them, okay? And also, we talked about a lot of issues. When you're learning a language, you have to think, you have to talk about life. I hope you enjoyed some of these ideas. I hope some of these ideas give you something to think about, and maybe you'll do a little research on your own. Just use YouTube to research, search everything. You'd be surprised how much you can learn on YouTube. Okay? So, in conclusion, today's lesson was an expansion of I and but because so. I really wanted to focus on but because only this can develop your fluency, your thinking power. You're going to have sophisticated communication. Okay? So push yourself. Now, homework. So, please make 5 statements yourself. I made 20 statements, now it's your turn. Make 5 little statements, any ideas that you want. That's the first thing for your homework, 5 statements. The second thing for your homework is Choose 5 of these cool patterns. Which ones do you really like? Choose 5. In my case, I recommend having said that. Just because doesn't mean is great. One hand, other hand is great. The issue isn't is so nice. Anyways, choose 5 patterns, 5 statements, 5 patterns. You write 1, 2, 3. And write them in the comments. I always read the comments, and I'm really curious and looking forward to what kinds of things you guys can write, both my old students and anybody new who may be watching, okay? You're gonna be surprised. When you do this, you're gonna surprise yourself in terms of your abilities. Okay, so that's your homework. 5 statements, choose 5 patterns, and then the other thing, of course, write them in the comments. And all of these things that you're learning on these videos, keep using them, keep mixing them, and you're gonna get better and better and better, okay? So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. It's been my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon, okay? Take care.